But I digress from the point. The first point I wanted to make is, how do we make marriage easy? Because this is the way of Shaytan. You know what the way of Shaytan is? Shah Waliul Adhalbi rahimahullah put it so brilliantly. The way of Shaytan in a society is, you make the haram easy and you make the halal difficult. If they happen to be bankrupt, if they don't have a lot of money, don't worry, that's not your problem. Allah will give them wealth from His own blessing. Because bankruptcy to Allah is a lesser problem. But aima means lots of people in society that are not married. That's a much bigger problem. Not having money is a less problem. But not having people tied down in healthy relationships, that's a much, much bigger problem to Allah. You know, when I was studying this word, I even found a narration, أَنَّهُ كَانَ يَتَعَوَّذُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم مِنَ الْأَيْمَةِ. Rasulullah ﷺ used to actually seek refuge from a society with a lot of single people. He used to be worried about the ummah becoming people, a lot of single people just happy the way they are. And they're not happy the way they are, it's just that their families kept pushing them candidates that they're not interested in, and the one they wanted to marry, they're not allowed to marry, and so they say, whatever, I'll just stay single. And you know, when somebody says, I stay single, doesn't mean I stay an angel. Let's be very clear what that means. If there's a 30-year-old, and he's a professional, and he's making good money, and she's 29 years old or 28 years old, and she's graduated from school, and she's not married, that does not mean temptation hasn't come to them, sin hasn't come their way, that they've just lived this pious life like they're living in the city of Medina back in the day. And by the way, even the city of Medina had its issues. The city of Medina had pretty crazy situations. If you study the life of the Prophet ﷺ carefully, and what happened with the companions around, stuff happened. I mean, just this morning I was reading about the narration of a Sahabi who went back to Makkah, and he used to have literally a girlfriend. The words in the narration are Khalila, a girlfriend, back before he became Muslim. And she saw him and she goes, Malak, what's wrong with you? Don't you want to be alone with me again? Literally, that's what she said. And he said, well, there's Islam between you and me now. That's what he said. And she got mad at him, and she got her brothers and friends to beat him up. And he says, fine, okay, the only way for us now is I have to marry you. And she says, fine, marry me. He goes, I have to ask the Prophet first. Because he doesn't know if he can marry someone who's a non-Muslim. So he goes back to the Prophet ﷺ, and he asks him, and then the ayat came down, لَا تَنْكِحُوا الْمُشْرِكَاتِ. You know, don't marry mushrik women until they believe. If she wants to accept Islam, fine. If not, then no. You know, if she wants to leave her pagan ways, then fine. But I digress from the point. The first point I wanted to make is, how do we make marriage easy? Because this is the way of Shaytan. You know what the way of Shaytan is? Shah Waliul Adhalbi rahimahullah put it so brilliantly. The way of Shaytan in a society is, you make the haram easy and you make the halal difficult. And when that happens in a society, Shaytan is won. Because people will gravitate towards what is easy. So today, if you want pleasure for your eyes, what can you capture on a screen, where the places you can go, the access that you have at your workplace, at your campuses, you know, on your mobile devices, on social media platforms, on dating apps, you name it. All of that has become easy. And while the door to haram, to fulfill, because human beings, men will have desire for women, that's something Allah put inside them. It's not going to go away. Women will want companionship. It's something Allah put inside, it's in their nature. That's why families come together anyway. When that is the door to the unhealthy, the filthy, the impermissible is wide open. And then that young man comes to his parents and says, I think I need to get married. I know I'm only in my 3rd year of college, but this is getting out of hand, Mom. This is getting out of hand, Dad. And he doesn't say, Dad, my hormones are driving me crazy. Man, the girls on campus, I don't even know what to tell you. Seriously though, you know, this one girl keeps texting me out. He's not going to talk like that to his dad or his mom. He's just going to say, Mom, I think I need to get married. He's going to code it in a nice way. And then what do parents do? They humiliate this young man. Oh, can't hold it in, huh? Can't control yourself? Well, I was 40 when I got married, and your father starts giving you lectures. You know? Like, how are you 40? You're 50 now. You know? So what we've done as parents oftentimes is oppress and suppress what naturally Allah put inside of us, especially in a time when the haram is wide open. And to be able to say to our young men and women, this door is open for you. Before you ever even think about making a mistake, come talk to us, let us know. Look, your family pride, you wanted your son or daughter to marry somebody within the race, within the city, within the village. within the extended cousins, God knows what you had in mind for them. You had all these dreams for them. If you wanted to have them marry within the village, why didn't you stay in the village? Why did you bring them here? Why did you let them go to college? Why did you let them see the world? You were trying to pretend that the world is still what it was. It's not. The world has changed. The world was even different from the Meccan Sahaba. When they moved to Medina, the Sahaba noticed these are not like women of Mecca. This is different. Society was different for them. When people migrate, there's a new society. And we have to adapt to that. And to refuse to accept that is a form of oppression. It actually goes against the ayah that says, allow people to get married. Open that door up. Which comes to the next point. When some proposal comes your way, you have daughters. Like I have daughters. May Allah Azza wa Jal help all of us who have daughters. And sons too. I'll throw them in the dua. But but if you have daughters and some proposal comes, she's of the age, it's a good match, she likes him, it's okay to ask, do you like him? It's not haram to ask, it's actually an important thing to ask, do you like him? She says, I don't like how he looks. Done, finished. You can't force them anymore. I'm not attracted to him. Astaghfirullah. That will come, Allah will put it in your heart. No, it won't. That's not how it works. If she says, I don't like him, he's too fat, he's too short, he's ugly, I don't like his personality, whatever she says, she doesn't even have to give you a reason. She doesn't. She could just say no. That's it. And by the way, later on in this ayah, I won't get time to get to it, but I'll just refer to the phrase, وَلَا تُكْرِهُ فَتَيَاتِكُمْ عَلَى الْبِغَاءِ. Don't force your young girls to rebellion. That's the phrase in the Quran. Don't force your young girls to rebellion. And the immediate interpretation actually of it was, don't make young women go into prostitution. Because in Medina, that's what they did with slave women. They used them to make money off of them as pimps, and they used to literally pimp them in the streets. That's what they did. And Quran came and spoke against that. But the phrasing Allah used wasn't just about prostitution. He made it wide open. Why is it wide open? When you force a woman to get married to someone she doesn't want to marry, when you put emotional pressure on her and say, if you don't marry him, nobody's going to marry you, your family's going to be humiliated, we've already printed the cards. When you do this kind of thing to your girls and you get them married, and then emotionally they're not in that marriage, they're still human beings. A human being still needs companionship. A human being still wants somebody who they can be attracted to, who they can find comfort in. That desire does not go away. And that desire will now be fulfilled by fantasy, by them thinking about things, by late night going on social media, by other things. You force them into rebelling against Allah because you forced them into a marriage they didn't want to begin with. This is لا تكرهوا فتياتكم على البغاء also. Don't push this on your daughters. But coming back, this is about men and about women. The young men of our community actually have to now stand up for themselves and have to say, I'm ready to get married. And I have somebody in mind. And that's the next thing I want to share with you. When it comes to, you want a marriage that lasts forever. Like we want our boy to have the perfect girl. Good luck with that, by the way. Because perfection is not going to happen in this, and your boy isn't perfect. Let me tell you. If you don't know, let me tell you. We're all human beings, and human beings have flaws, and sometimes things work, and sometimes things don't work. But let me tell you, when a young man and a young woman are old enough to get married, that actually means they're old enough to make their own choice. Let me repeat myself. When they're old enough to get married, they're old enough to make their own choice. And maybe you don't like their choice. And your job and my job as parents is to advise them and say, I don't think this is a good choice. I think that you could do better. By the way, as a parent, I think I'm always going to say you could do better.